Welcome to Words to Live By, a podcast series hosted by the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute. Each week, we will share some of the wit and wisdom of Ronald Reagan. In essence, Words to Live By, made up of radio addresses and speeches he delivered from the 1960s through the 1980s. Ronald Reagan, a man of private yet devout faith, respected all religions, and this time of the year honored the celebration of Hanukkah. He deeply revered the lighting of the Menorah, and he empathized with Soviet Refusniks who were prohibited and punished for practicing their Jewish traditions. President Reagan didn't mince words because he was very clear. He said,
"Our mission stretches far beyond our borders. God's family knows no borders. In your life, you face daily trials, but millions of believers in other lands face far worse. They are mocked and persecuted for the crime of loving God. To every religious dissident trapped in that cold, cruel existence, we send our love and support. Our message: you are not alone. You are not forgotten. Do not lose your faith and hope, because someday you too will be free."
Maybe you didn't know that there were messages within the Hanukkah story that held great meaning for our 40th president. This one in particular did for the president, and I'll read what he wrote. Of the many messages found in the Hanukkah story, the one that has always inspired me most is this: with a strong faith in the Almighty, nothing is impossible, and without the help of our Creator, we labor in vain. When the Maccabees vanquished the Syrians and recaptured the Holy Temple, they found only a small portion of the pure oil needed to light the menorah and rededicate the sacred place. Men of less faith would have despaired, but the leaders of that time knew that trust in the Almighty would see them through. Their determination was, of course, rewarded. And today, many centuries later, the miracle of the lights is celebrated with undiminished wonder, thanks, and joy. So in December 1983, 40 years ago, Ronald Reagan traveled to the Jewish Community Center in Rockville, Maryland, to attend a menorah lighting, and he delivered very touching, inspiring remarks. But in our opinion, these words should echo throughout the land today, throughout America, and across the globe. They are touching, poignant, and well, let's listen to his opening statement.
Well, thank you all very much, and may I just say what an honor and a joy it is to be with you this afternoon for this Hanukkah celebration. The family activities that you've planned here with so many children, teenagers, and parents is of great importance to the meaning of America, the wealth of our culture, and the strength of our values. Preserving the strength of families and family values is the key to America's future. We've just seen the beautiful symbolic lighting of the Hanukkah Menorah. At sundown, you and your families will light your own menorahs. As we heard, when God kept the oil and the eternal flame burning for 8 days, He gave us the miracle of Hanukkah, the holiday of hope and rededication for every Jewish family. We're reminded of Jewish unity and diversity by the 8 separate branches of the menorah coming together as one. And as the menorah's light grows stronger, with one candle being lit each day, we can feel the flame of freedom burning in your hearts, and that flame should inspire people everywhere. Hanukkah is symbolic of the Jewish struggle to resist submission to tyranny and to sustain its spiritual heritage. No people have fought longer, struggled harder, or sacrificed more to survive, to grow, and to live in freedom than the people of Israel. Whether we be Americans or Israelis, we are all children of Abraham, children of the same God. The bonds between our two peoples are growing stronger, and they must not and will never be broken.
We'll hear the second portion of this speech, focusing a bit on Israel and the plight of several Soviet dissidents. We'll be right back.
The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation is the nonprofit organization created by President Reagan himself, and specifically charged by him with continuing his legacy and sharing his principles: individual liberty, economic opportunity, global democracy, and national pride. we must remain vigilant and work together to share these conservative principles with younger generations. Your role is critical to move our mission forward. Thank you for your continued support. Please visit reaganfoundation.org/give. That's reaganfoundation.org/give.
Now, back to the story. Before we listen to the president's remarks, let's recall that Judaism has three principal components: God, Torah, or law, and nation, or peoplehood. Remove any one of these supporting pillars, and the entire structure, this magnificent edifice of the ages, collapses, because Judaism perceives a supreme being, sublime in majesty and power. It has a universalist component, and it supports the divine origin and sanctity of each individual. Above all, Judaism is the world's oldest monotheistic faith, the basis of traditional morality. President Reagan always suggested God is on our side. Let's listen.
Israel's quest for peace and security is in constant peril from those driven by hatred and violence. But as I told Prime Minister Shamir last week, Israel has a friend in America, and good friends stand together. We're also making sure that Israel is not hurt in the United Nations. Ambassador Kirkpatrick is our watchdog on this, and let me assure you one thing about Jean. She is a very determined woman. But just so no one gets any ideas, let me be blunt. If Israel is ever forced to leave the UN, the United States and Israel will leave together. I think it's wonderful that the American Jewish community is using Hanukkah to assist Jews in the Soviet Union. And how good it is to know that at this very moment, Jews who have fled oppression are here with us, taking their first steps toward becoming American citizens. On behalf of more than 230 million Americans, may I say to you, welcome to your new family. We know that the emigration of Jews from the Soviet Union has practically stopped. They are constantly ridiculed, harassed, beaten, and arrested by Soviet authorities. It's no exaggeration to say their entire Jewish population feels it is under siege. Today, Soviet Jews are fighting for their future and their freedom as the Maccabees once did. But their fight is a peaceful one. Some are struggling to emigrate from the Soviet Union. Many others are trying to assert their rights to practice their religion and preserve their heritage. In their struggle, we must not forsake them. We will not remain silent. Our hearts go out to heroes like Anatoly Sharansky and Yosef Begin, imprisoned for their love of God and freedom. And there are so many more. We will not remain silent when Avi Goldstein, a 10-year-old boy being harassed by the KGB, asked visiting Samantha Smith to convey his family's appeal for emigration. We will not remain silent when Lev Furman, one of Moscow's leading Hebrew teachers, has been persecuted, seen his house vandalized, and been robbed of his teaching materials. To every religious dissident trapped in this cold, cruel existence, we Americans send our love and support. We appeal to people everywhere to open their hearts and to raise their voices in support of our brothers and sisters. Together, let us pray that the warm lights of Hanukkah will spread the spirit of freedom and reach, comfort, and sustain every person who is suffering tonight. Happy Hanukkah, and God bless you all.
On behalf of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation, we hope all your holiday celebrations for Hanukkah or Christmas are meaningful. Thank you for listening. For more information on the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute, including information on how to become a member, information on upcoming exhibits at the Reagan Library, or more information on the legacy of President Reagan, please visit reaganfoundation.org. And don't forget to like and follow the Reagan Foundation on all social media platforms.